Megagas is back for the college football national championship game tonight. Clemson and Emma will be on from every platform, TV, radio, and digital. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern. This just in tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. It's the college football playoff national championship game presented by AT&T. Clemson battles Alabama at Raymond James Stadium here in Tampa. The game is also streaming live on the ESPN app, or watch ESPN so you can check it out on the go. And after that, don't miss SportsCenter at night with Scott Van Pelt. He'll anchor our post-game coverage from Bristol and send it to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa for a complete breakdown. That's SportsCenter at night after Clemson and Alabama on ESPN. We have traveled a long way from our headquarters in Bristol, Connecticut, down the East Coast and over 1,000 miles away for tonight's national championship in sunny Tampa, Florida. Bama looking for their second team in Alabama, and we have a fantastic crowd here with us. But we're going to talk about this weekend right now. Divisional weekend kicks off on Saturday. Interesting matchups for the 3 seeds who are both underdogs. Now, Atlanta is favored by 4.5, and they'll be fresh when Seattle heads to the Dome after crushing Detroit. Kansas City is favored by 1.5 against Pittsburgh. Big Ben stayed in the game while the Steelers had a huge lead over Miami and was injured on his last pass attempt, tackled by Cameron Wake on an interception, and was seen in a walking boot. Max, who has the best chance to win the Steelers?
See, and avenge their defeat to the Patriots in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I thought they were going to be your Super Bowl champions. But football in the NFL and teams in the NFL, it's dynamic. It's a dynamic game, meaning it changes over time. The nature and even character of a team develops over the course of a season. So Pittsburgh, to enter the season, everyone was hoping for a high-flying offense and a bend-but-don't-break defense. And what happened over the course of the season, particularly since Week 11 with Pittsburgh, is they actually rounded into a kind of an elite defense. Since Week 11, Pittsburgh's been third in point differential, third pure nature of their threat. Seattle, who had problems on the offensive line to start the year, and then Earl Thomas. And by the way, if you look at the stats, Earl Thomas, I know he didn't affect the Super Bowl line, the odds for the Seahawks, but wow, that defense has suffered in that secondary since Earl Thomas went down. You look at Seattle, they had a hard time putting away Detroit. That was considered a gimme. Had a hard time putting away Detroit. The Steelers look so good, given that, as I said, that defense, the way it rounded into shape, Stephen A., and the high-flying offense, because they have 2 all-time greats at running back and wide, and an all-time great at quarterback. No doubt about it. When you look at that, they were installed as Pick'em at Arrowhead. To be Pick'em at Arrowhead, you get, the home team should get 3 points for playing at home. And at Arrowhead, maybe more than that against a good Chiefs team. Pick'em, and now they're like underdogs by 1.5. What that really means is the odds makers are saying, see that Pittsburgh team on a neutral field, they're better than the Kansas City Chiefs. I think even at Kansas City, they're better than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, let's say this as a bravo. I mean, it's so touching. I mean, the Steelers actually stepped up on their home turf in freezing temperatures and beat Matt Moore. Wow. I mean, I'm just so touched. Here's the deal, okay? I think that Seattle, when you talk about which team has the best chance of an upset, not that they may pull it off or not, we'll debate that later on in the week, but I think Seattle has a better chance. First of all, let's take into account the fact that if you're Pittsburgh, you got to go to Kansas City. You got to go to Arrowhead Stadium, which is arguably the best home turf in the NFL. We know that it's going to be freezing. It's going to be cold as all get out. Plus, experienced coach like Andy Reid, who's been there before, who knows what it takes to win playoff games. And even though he's a game manager, Alex Smith doesn't beat himself. They can run the football effectively. We hope Jeremy Maclin and Kelsey and those boys are going to be ready, and their defense is stout and rife with playmakers, not to mention the questionable health of a Big Ben Roethlisberger now that he's walking around with that boot, even though we know he'll play. Playing is one thing, being at 100% is another, and he'll need to be at 100% in order to beat Kansas City, in my opinion. When we get to Seattle, let's also take into account they're going down to the ATL. They're playing in a dome. They're playing up against a suspect defense. Atlanta's strength is all to go up, and they, whether it's Richard Sherman, there's Averill and Bennett in the crew, even with Sheed and others at the cornerback spot, with Cam Chancellor at just strong safety. You got these guys. Clearly losing Earl Thomas is a big loss for them.
No question.
But still in all, this defense is stout with a bunch of rough riders. And when you are a rough rider and playoff time comes, we don't know what Atlanta team is going to show up. I'm not saying that they can't, because their high-powered offense is exactly what it is. And Matt Ryan is an MVP candidate. He's also the dude with a 1-4 record in the postseason. He's also a dude whose record, whose QBR, whose completion percentage, and everything else under the sun dips and just diminishes the second playoff time arrives. So we've got to wait and see what he does. We've got to wait and see what this defense does. Seattle's offense is not high-powered. We've had questions about that. But considering the fact that they're not going to have to deal with it, play in unpeak at Pittsburgh, I don't give a damn about the odds.
4.5-point underdogs at Atlanta because look, Matt Ryan had the best numbers of any quarterback this year, period. My choice for MVP is Aaron Rodgers. I think it's pretty clear. Others are foolish enough to say Tom Brady, even though he missed 25% of the season. Whatever. But Matt Ryan actually put up the best statistical season. And when you look at guys like Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman, I mean, they are loaded for bear on offense. Now, in terms of their defense, no, it has not been good, and they have not changed the nature of their defense over the course of the season the way Pittsburgh has. But Seattle's offense, it's like, what do you think, they finally figured out to run the right one? Turn it on weeks now. Seattle looks like a compromised team that's ripe for the picking.
Well, it's interesting because you said it's like they discovered to run the football against Detroit. Well, what the hell is Atlanta? You know, that's the question mark. Their defense is questionable as well. So Rawls running 127 times for 161 yards. Is that something we can definitively say can not be done against the Atlanta Falcons? Well, I'm saying you're going to say, but at the same point, the level of confidence that one would have, Atlanta's defense gives you no reason to be confident. When you think about Atlanta, it's about some degree and what they're capable of doing. We think about those things. We don't think about Atlanta's defense, and I'm not saying they can't show up. I'm saying that they are a team that needs to show us and prove to us that we need to trust and have faith in them, because just when you thought Atlanta was going to arrive, they go to Philadelphia and get spanked and stink up the joint against a rookie and Carson Wentz. These are the kind of things that Atlanta does. The second you sit there and you start praising them, all of a sudden you discover they are not what we thought they were.
Once again, it comes down to, if you're talking about the character scene on Seattle so far.
Their third in franchise history, breaking the tie with Dallas for most all time. How about them Cowboys? That's where we're going next. Dak and Zeke dominating this season. Those rookies looking like best, but with Aaron Rodgers visiting next weekend, will it be one and done for Big D? We'll talk about that next. And after Odell's disappointing performance on Sunday, do the guys think Odell has a puncher's chance of recovering next season? We'll put the Giant star on the couch when we come back from Tampa. Thursday.
No second when he lost the football. Touchdown, Hunter Renfrow.
There's a high likelihood we're going to get beat, but there's a pretty good chance we can win, too.